Here we go again. When Obsidian Flames launched in August last year, Charizard EX was one of the free decks given away on the Battle Pass. And people on Reddit complained about how broken it was every single day. But a lot has happened since then. For starters, I had my toes enlarged. Also, rotation came to Pokemon TCG Live, removing all E-Block cards from Standard, meaning that my previous Charizard EX deck upgrade video is woefully out of date. The good news is that not a lot changed with rotation. Yeah, we lost Battle VIP Pass, but that also means Path to the Peak is gone. And the great news is that the free Charizard EX deck every PTCGL player gets until March 2025 has everything you need to reach Great League, including 2 copies of Pidgeot EX. Looking at that free version of Charizard EX for 2024, it's surprisingly good on its own. The list does rely quite heavily on Technical Machine Evolution, which is a tool that you can attach to a Pokemon and evolve any 2 bench Pokemon for a single energy. So the strategy there is that you would use Arven turn 1 going second to search for a Buddy-Buddy Poffin TEF evolution, put a Charmander and Pidgey on the bench, then evolve them into Charmeleon and Pidgeot. And if you whiff the evolution attack, there's 4 copies of Rare Candy, so you can directly evolve into Charizard EX and Pidgeot EX from your Charmander or Pidgey, provided the stage 2 is in your hand. For as strong as it is though, there are some cuts to be made. Moltres isn't needed since Manaphy exists in so many decks protecting bench Pokemon. And you don't need 10 energy. I know for newer players this might be confusing, but you have to look at how much energy you actually need to win. Charizard EX attacks for 2 energy, while Radiant Charizard attacks for as low as 1 energy. So if you use 3 Charizard EX and 1 Radiant Charizard the entire game, why do you need more than 7 energy? Especially when there's 2 copies of Super Rod, which puts Pokemon and energy back into your deck. And with Charizard EX's ability accelerating up to 3 fire energy into play when it evolves, spreading that energy around is super easy, barely an annoyance. With all that in mind, let's look at the upgrades you need to make. As a quick reminder, this is what cards cost to craft in Pokemon TCG Live. And each Battle Pass gives you close to 3,000 credits, allowing you to make those changes without grinding. To make your life as easy as possible, I'll include lists in the description so you can quickly craft whatever cards you're missing. Alright, when all's said and done, this is what you want your fully upgraded Charizard EX deck to look like. If my math is correct, which it always is, you're only missing 15 cards if you just started playing live today. Obviously you could have several of these cards in your collection already, but I'm going to pretend like you don't. In total, it will cost you about 2,700 credits to get all of them. The most expensive cards here are the Rotom V at 750 credits, Maximum Belt at 600 credits, and Forest Sealstone at 425 credits. While the rest are all 100 credits or less each. Maximum Belt can be skipped if you're short on credits, just make sure to replace it with another A-Spec like Prime Catcher if there's one in your collection. And you can stick with the original Charmander to save 160 credits, but this new one can attack for a single energy, making it slightly better. Probably the most notable change with the final list is the removal of TM Evolution. I know it might seem scary, but the card is a crutch and admittedly helpful for new players learning the game. But if you want to take Charizard to the next level, you gotta let it ride with 4 Rare Candy and 2 Charmeleon. Rare Candy decks are always susceptible to TM de-evolution though, which is why making sure you evolve at least 1 Charmander into Charmeleon is extremely important. This way, your opponent can't just leave you with some naked Charmander and Pidgey after you've used up all your Rare Candy. You'll also notice a reduction in energy. Now it's just 6 fire energy. Again, Charizard EX only needs 2 to attack. And thanks to the 2 Super Rod, if a Charizard gets knocked out, you can easily recycle that energy back into the deck, meaning any more than 6 or 7 is unnecessary. Then there's Mist Energy. Because of Roaring Moon EX and Giratina V-Star, it's something you'll want to think about. It's definitely not a beginner-friendly card, but it prevents effects of attacks done to the Pokemon it's attached to. Roaring Moon and Giratina both have attacks where the effects instantly knock out one of your Pokemon, so this is just protection against that. If you find yourself not using Mist Energy though, just swap it for a 7th Fire Energy. When playing Charizard EX with Pidgeot EX, your first turn is typically always going to be the same. If you go first, do what you can to get Rotom V down and end your turn with its instant charge ability, which draws you 3 cards. If you go second, well, you kinda do the same thing. Except now you might be able to use Arven to grab yourself a Buddy-Buddy Poffin to fill up your bench even further. And Arven can also grab Forest Sealstone, which you put onto Rotom V to get any card from your deck, using up your V-Star power in the process. Because Rotom V is so important to the early success of Charizard EX, some lists play 2 copies, but for now just worry about having 1. After that, it's all about getting your stage 2s in play and taking knockouts with Charizard EX. It does 180 base damage for 2 fire energy, but that damage increases by 30 for each prize card your opponent has taken. It might seem scary at first, but Charizard doesn't mind playing from behind. In fact, letting your opponent knock out a Charmander or Pidgey can be extremely beneficial. This way, Charizard EX will deal 210 damage the following turn. And with Maximum Belt, you can boost the damage you deal to Pokemon EX by 50. Finding that Maximum Belt or a counter catcher or boss's orders or whatever you need is easy thanks to Pidgeot EX. Its ability literally gets you any card you want turn after turn. You can only use 1 Pidgeot EX ability per turn though, so it doesn't do you any good to have 2 Pidgeot EX on the field at once. Elsewhere, while Rotom V is helpful at the start of a game, it becomes a massive liability at the end. So either use Professor Turo's scenario to put it back into your hand, or use Collapsed Stadium to bump it if you have a full bench. This way you force them to either knock out Charizard EX or Pidgeot EX if they want 2 prizes, rather than an easy Rotom. All in all, Charizard EX is an extremely powerful deck that will take some time to learn. While it's not the most beginner-friendly deck, especially considering the decision you have to make each turn with Pidgeot EX, its raw strength can see you winning games where you otherwise played suboptimally. But there is another. Pidgeot EX isn't the only good partner for Charizard. Sometimes you just gotta leave it to Beaver and play Bibarel. Canada's national animal, the Beaver doesn't get you whatever card you want turn after turn, but it does draw you up to 5 cards in hand once per turn. Plus, since it's a stage 1, you can use Technical Machine Evolution to evolve directly into it. And because you get the Bibarel line free from the 2024 decks, changing to this version is much cheaper. In fact, you only have to craft 8 cards to create this list, all for a grand total of 1400 credits. I did remove a Delphox V to save you 725 credits, but for basically what you get for free from Tier 0 of the basic Battle Pass, you can have a strong Charizard EX deck. The biggest advantage Bibarel has over Pidgeot EX is that it only gives up a single prize card. So while Pidgeot EX allows your opponent to potentially take an easy 2 prize cards, Bibarel gives them no other good options. They either have to knock out 3 Charizard EX per game, or pick off at least 2 single prize Pokemon along the way. Because this list has TM Evolution, going second isn't a bad thing. That way you can do the old Arven for Buddy-Buddy Poffin and TM Evolution. Once you have a Bibarel and a Charmeleon set up, you just play it like you normally would a Charizard EX deck. Hit hard, do more damage the more prizes your opponent has taken, and watch them struggle to keep pace with someone who can deal 330 damage for 2 energy if they've taken 5 prize cards. Looking ahead to our next English set, Twilight Masquerade on May 23rd, it doesn't appear as though Charizard will undergo any changes. And honestly, even if you're watching this video towards the end of 2024, you can probably still use these lists and win consistently. Regardless, I perused several Japanese lists to see which cards made their way into Charizard EX and found that there's nothing. Literally every Japanese list is the same as it is now. The only card I could find that some people included was Unfair Stamp. If they knock somebody out, you play the stamp. They shuffle draw 2 while you shuffle draw 5. It's a great card, searchable with Arven, but it's your Ace spec, which means it replaces either Prime Catcher or Maximum Belt, 2 Ace specs arguably better for Charizard. Another option that might squeak its way into Charizard lists is Kieran. It's nothing too special, but it does give you the option of boosting Charizard's damage by 30 against V and EX Pokemon. Only time will tell if it's actually useful though. Alright, I know that was a lot to take in. Basically, the Charizard EX lists you'll find in the description cost less than 3,000 credits each to build, and they should be up to date until at least August 2024. I should have a full gameplay video of Charizard EX up on the channel soon, so stay tuned for that. I know you probably still have several questions about the deck or Pokemon TCG Live in general, so feel free to ask in the comments. Or hop into one of my streams and get answers faster than I can take off a pair of socks with my tongue.